He looked like a ghost in the woods. Thomas had walked the trails behind his Montana farm for over 40 years. But that morning, as sunlight poured through the pine canopy, something stopped him cold. Curled beneath a fallen log, half hidden in shadow, lay a tiny creature that didn't move. His fur was matted with dirt, ribs jutting beneath paper-thin skin. Too still to be sleeping, a baby lynx. For a moment, Thomas thought the cub was already gone, but then an ear twitched. The lynx tried to lift his head and failed. His paws trembled and folded beneath him like wet paper. He was no bigger than a house cat, yet his breath came in ragged gasp, already halfway across the line. Thomas dropped to his knees. Everything else disappeared, the bird song, the bite of the July air, even the sun. All that remained was the broken body before him. "You poor thing," he whispered. One paw curled unnaturally. His belly was sunken, old scabs traced his ribs, like he'd crawled through thorns for miles. Thomas touched his side, barely warm. He looked around. No den, no tracks, no sign of a mother. "You've been alone too long," he murmured. He took off his flannel shirt and wrapped the lynx slowly, careful not to jostle fragile bones. The kitten didn't resist. He didn't flinch, simply lay there, eyes half-lidded, breathing in a faint, rattling rhythm. Thomas held him close and stood. The walk back to the farmhouse felt longer than ever. The woods felt quieter, like they too were holding their breath. Every step was a risk. What if he was already too late? But giving up had never been in Thomas's nature, not when something was still holding on. He pushed open the screen door with his elbow. Inside was warmth and motion. Paws clattered on the wood floor like children's footsteps. His wife, Eleanor, turned from the sink, towel in hand. She stopped mid-motion. "What is that?" Thomas placed the bundle gently on the kitchen table and unwrapped just enough for her to see. "A lynx cub," he said softly. "I think he's starving." Her breath caught. "Thomas, you can't bring a wild animal in here. I couldn't leave him." Footsteps thundered from the living room. Jamie and Lily, their grandchildren, barefoot and wide-eyed. "What? Is it?" Lily gasped. "A lynx," Thomas said. "Is he going to make it?" Jamie whispered. "I don't know." Then came a growl. Baxter, their 12-year-old black lab, stood rigid in the hallway, teeth bared, tail stiff. Thomas instinctively stepped between the dog and the table. Behind Baxter, Maple, their Australian shepherd, appeared quiet, watchful. She looked at the cub, then at Thomas, and then back to the table. From the laundry room, pen came soft puppy whimpers. Thomas looked down at the lynx again, still unmoving. Breath shallow. "You brought a predator into a house full of babies, Eleanor?" Said quietly. Thomas nodded. "He's just a baby, too." Even as he said it, he wasn't sure if the house would accept him, or if the lynx would live long enough to find out. He rewrapped the kitten, moved from the kitchen, and placed him gently in a box lined with towels near the wood stove. Ben and Lily sat on the floor beside it, cross-legged and silent. They didn't touch. Somehow they understood. Baxter paced, emitting low rumbles with each pass. But Maple moved closer, slowly. She was a mother her. 5 pups just 3 weeks old. But now she sat beside the box. Not close, just near enough. Watching, Thomas placed a bowl of warmed goat's milk near the cub, touched its lips with a milk-dipped fingertip. "Nothing. Come on," he whispered. "You've made it this far? Does he have a name?" Lily asked gently. Thomas looked at the cub's fragile face. "Rufus," he said. "He looks like a Rufus." The name settled in the room like dust. Jamie smiled. "You can stay, Rufus. We'll help take care of you." Baxter barked sharply. "No promises, Eleanor." Warned. "He's wild. Even if he survives, he can't stay forever." Thomas didn't respond. He filled the dropper again, this time a flicker. The lynx's tongue moved, caught a drop. Thomas leaned in. He took some. It wasn't much. Was something. Maple blinked slowly beside him. Later that night, she didn't leave the box. She stayed beside it, warm and quiet. By dawn, they weren't even sure if Rufus was breathing. Thomas barely slept, sitting in a rocker by the stove, eyes fixed on the bundle. Then, just before sunrise, a paw twitched, then another. A stretch, soft sound. A roll onto his other side, closer to Maple's warmth. She gave a slow, deliberate lick across the lynx's ear. Eleanor stopped mid-step in the doorway. She didn't speak. She just watched. That afternoon, Rufus opened both, eyes golden wild. Afraid, but awake, and the healing began. Day by day, Rufus grew stronger. He learned to eat, to play, to trust. Poppy, the smallest of Maple's pups, became his shadow. She curled beside him. He let her. Thomas watched it all from the porch. Heart tight, they'd built him a spaceport enclosure. Part sanctuary open to the forest, but near the house. A place of choice, not captivity. Every morning, Rufus returned. Sat by the gate, waited. The pups tumbled into him like joy itself. He let them climb, chew, tug, when one wandered. He herded them back with a nudge of his nose. He never asked, never begged, but he stayed. He stayed. And on a quiet evening in fall, as golden leaves drifted from the trees, Ben filmed from the barn, loft Rufus, walking through the tall grass, head lifted, eyes steady. He's not hiding. The boy said, softly, he's just home. Thomas watched the footage that night, soup steaming on the table, Eleanor stirring in silence. He's wild, she said. But he's not alone, Thomas replied. Outside, the moon rose. Branches swayed, and somewhere between forest and farmhouse, Rufus stepped through the dark, drawn, not by hunger or fear, but something deeper, something that always brought him home. This isn't just a story about rescuing a wild animal. It's a story about family. Rufus was never tamed, never trained, never claimed. He lived on his own terms, chose when to stay, when to vanish, and always when to come back. Because love isn't a leash, it's a promise. And Rufus kept his. He grew up. Between worlds, half forest, half farmhouse. Curled beside Maple's pups, guarded by Baxter. Followed by children who never tried to own him, only to understand him. He didn't need to be tamed. He just needed to be seen, and in a little Montana valley, family let him be exactly what he was, and loved him just the same. Subscribe to Pawthos, where rescue meets the wild and love always finds a way. Every story on Pawthos reminds us of the power of compassion and the importance of giving animals the chance to live on their own terms. When you watch and share these stories, you help support rescue groups and wildlife efforts across the globe. Rufus was one of the lucky ones. There are thousands more like him, wild, wounded, waiting. They don't need cages. They need chances. Let's give them one together.